So it's a great pleasure to introduce BioVaxys. We are listed on the Canadian Securities Exchange under the symbol BIOV. We're also traded on the OTCQB market in the United States under BVAXF. And again, it's a great pleasure to walk you through the company and our technology very quickly. So as Gilbert mentioned, BioVaxys is focused on developing novel vaccines that are based on our underlying technology, which is called, we call haptenization. And what a hapten is a class of chemicals that happen to be cheap and abundant. And there's a very interesting immunological effect that when you modify an antigen with a hapten, that antigen becomes highly immunogenic. Now, there was actually some literature about doctors using haptens 100 years ago, but really the technology didn't go anywhere until our technology inventor and chief medical officer, Dr. David Bird, started using haptenization to create very promising therapeutic cancer vaccines. So we have our real genesis and origin is in cancer, but we've recently also moved into viruses, and we have a COVID-19 vaccine candidate, which really for us was a proof of concept that we could apply haptenization to viruses. And we had very strong, very exciting preclinical results in an animal model on our COVID vaccine candidate. And the essence of haptenization and why it's very exciting is that we are able to train the immune system to mount a very strong targeted T cell response against really the target antigens, whether it's the antigens on a cancer cell or the viral proteins. We also have a immunodiagnostic for COVID, which I'll take you through a bit later in the presentation. So BioVaxys was founded in 2018 by myself, Dr. David Bird, who's our technology inventor, retired professor of immunology, practicing oncologist, and a serial biotechnology inventor, as well as Ken Coven, who's a lifelong biotechnology executive and consultant. In terms of our technology, there's been over $100 million US invested into effectively the technology that we control in BioVaxys. It's proven technology in the sense that there already is significant data with the previous generation of our technology, which was about to enter phase 3 for both melanoma and ovarian. So you can find the data, and we're happy to share it with you. It's quite encouraging. Now, BioVaxys has made an improvement, and we're launching a next generation therapeutic cancer vaccine with phase 1. And again, I'll walk you through that, which we think will improve the results even further. In terms of our product portfolio, we're quite proud of our portfolio. Our lead cancer product is BVX-0918A, which is our therapeutic ovarian cancer vaccine. We have partnered with a company out of Spain called Procare Health, which is a spin out of Procter & Gamble. It's a large private pharma company in Spain. They're putting significant resources into the ovarian cancer trial, and I'll take you through it as well. And we've also partnered with Procare Health on a cervical cancer vaccine candidate, as well as an adult HPV vaccine. Now, this cervical cancer and adult HPV is preclinical. We will launch the ovarian cancer phase 1 trial in the EU in 2022. And we also have a right of first refusal to market PaploCare. Now, PaploCare is already approved in the EU. It's up for FDA review. We think it's going to be approved. And this is very exciting because based on the sales data we have from Europe, this could be a $50 million per year product, and all of the clinical research has already been done. So it's simply a matter of getting the FDA approval and starting the marketing. And then in terms of our COVID DTH, this is it's a skin test for T cell immunity to COVID. We think this can be really solve the most important public health policy problem in the world, which is how to allocate distribution of COVID vaccines. And I'll touch on that briefly later on. In terms of ovarian cancer, it really is the most deadly gynecological malignancy in developed countries. 300,000 cases diagnosed per year. It's a huge unmet medical needs. And unfortunately for women that are unfortunate enough to get ovarian cancer, many of the recent breakthroughs with new therapies do not work well with ovarian cancer. So this is really our primary target, is ovarian cancer. And I'll walk you through that a bit later in the presentation. But our technology is applicable to any solid tumor that's resectable. So we're not just going to go, we don't only have ovarian, but ovarian is going to be really the proof of concept with our new generation therapeutic cancer vaccine technology. Now, the way our technology works is that we modify the patient's own tumor cells, which are extracted, which is a normal part of cancer treatment, is debulking tumors. They're purified, separated into individual cells. They're irradiated, so they're infertile and can't generate any new cancer, and they're modified with a hapten. Now, the previous work in the previous generation of our vaccine, a particular hapten DNP was used, which produced outstanding data. And effectively, you can see that there was outstanding. I mean, this is showing the months to survival. So there's now very exciting data on the previous generation version of our technology. Now, what we have done in terms of the new generation is not to get too detailed on the technical side, but a hapten is either hydrophilic or hydrophobic. So what we're going to do is combine both a hydrophilic and a hydrophobic hapten, which will allow our vaccine to interact with the entire cell. And we're also combining it with a checkpoint antibody. Now, if you've heard about checkpoint antibodies, it's an $18 billion per year industry. It's a huge breakthrough in terms of cancer immunotherapy in recent decades. And the way that the checkpoint antibodies work is that they prevent Tregs from down-regulating the immune response, and effectively are a biochemical trick that allows cancer to evade T cells. So by training the immune system to generate the full suite of T cells to attack the cancer antigens, combined with the checkpoint antibody to prevent the cancer from evading T cells, we think that this will be effectively, let's call it a 1-2 punch that is going to become one of the standards of care for cancer therapy. So this is the new generation of our technology. We're very excited to move into the clinic next year. Now, I mentioned earlier our partner, ProCare Health. It's a large pharma company based in Spain, huge revenue generating company. ProCare Health is one of the leading biotechnology and pharma companies focused on women's healthcare in Europe. So ProCare Health is investing $900,000 into our phase 1 ovarian cancer trial next year. ProCare Health is going to do the trial. They have all the infrastructure and resources to conduct the trial. And all we've given up is we've given ProCare exclusive marketing rights for Europe and for the UK. And obviously we'll make royalties on sales there. It's a fantastic partnership. And ProCare Health is very excited about our technology and therefore has partnered, and we're sharing costs on our preclinical development of a cervical cancer vaccine, as well as an adult HPV vaccine. And if you, in terms of HPV, there are 2 approved vaccines, but they're for children. They were off-label to really adults or anybody that's been exposed to HPV through sexual activity. There's a strong argument that haptenization will break tolerance and allow the immune system to successfully, effectively clear HPV. So we're going to see, but it's a very exciting potential blockbuster. And as I mentioned, we have a right of first refusal to market PaploCare, which can be a $50 million per year generator. And so potentially we could be looking at revenue from PaploCare next year. So I'm in terms of just the details here, we're going after stage 3 and 4 ovarian cancer under a compassionate use trial. So we'll have data from this trial next year. BioElpida is producing the vaccine for us. They have all the expertise and infrastructure to create our vaccine, so that the vaccine production is starting, and we're on track to conduct this trial next year. And then I mentioned HPV earlier. I mean, this is one of the It's a huge global health problem for women. Once they infect HPV, some of them developed HPV-dependent cervical lesions, which can lead to cancer. PaploCare is trying to address this. And so what PaploCare is the first device that is able to treat HPV-dependent cervical lesions. It's a huge revenue generator in Europe. We're very excited to have the right to market this product into the United States once it's approved by the FDA. And I mentioned the ovarian cancer development plan. So all this is on track to go into the clinic next year in Europe. In terms of COVID, we do not intend to use the resources of BioVaxys to go after COVID because it's crowded. There's existing approved vaccines. We do think that there is a market for a vaccine that's equally or effective, if not more effective, with a better safety profile. We think we fit the bill, but in terms of COVID, we are in the process of looking for grants or non-dilutive funding to launch a phase 1 human trial for COVID. But for us, really, the exciting thing is we had fantastic data with a 96.4% positive antibody response to the vaccinated mice. There were production of neutralizing antibodies to live SARS-CoV-2 that was conducted by Ohio State University as a BL3 security lab with live COVID virus. We activated the full suite of T cells and killer T cells to in all of the 2 higher dose groups, and it was safe and well tolerated. In fact, there were no side effects in any of the mice. So this really is showing the value of our technology and to address viruses. And should we get a grant, we will continue with developing our COVID vaccine. And in terms of our COVID vaccine, we're on track, and subject to getting non-dilutive funding, we're going to drive this through to the market as soon as possible. In terms of COVID DTH, this is a very exciting and simple product. There's a well-known effect called delayed type hypersensitivity, which is actually used to measure T cell immunity to diphtheria and mumps for decades. But for some reason, because it's so simple, it's not something the pharma industry is really interested in. But by taking effectively the S subunit of the spike protein and injecting it intradermally, so for example, if you have T cell immunity to COVID, you will get a you'll get a reaction at the site of this intradermal injection, like a little hive that'll go away, but with a delay. And the only way to get that reaction is if you have T cell immunity. And here, what's very exciting is the only other way to test for T cell immunity to COVID currently is to do a blood draw and have a specialized lab process the blood. It takes about a week. It's $350 per test. Our cost of goods sold when we scale up will be $6. So we can roll out at a very low price. And effectively, the relevance here is to a lot of governments are interested in identifying people that have immunity, but the problem is that antibody immunity will wear off after an infection and start to wane. The T cell immunity in a healthy individual does not wear off for a very long time. So if you had a way to measure on a large scale T cell immunity, this can help with vaccine distribution, vaccine mandates, and we can also test for the T cell immunity to different variants, which may become important. So we have the FDA is suggested that we come in under what's called an emergency use authorization. We will be regulated as a biologic, so under BLA. We are going to hear back from actually in any day now from the FDA responses to what's called our pre-IND briefing package, which will help us to finalize our clinical and regulatory pathway to get approval under an emergency use authorization. Because this is not a vaccine, it's not a therapeutic, we envision that the FDA will agree that we could do one test for both safety and efficacy, and then roll out under an emergency use authorization. And we have a lot of global interest, and we've brought on a number of very respected independent advisors to help us both on the technology side as well as on the business development side. And we see there's a lot of international interest in COVID DTH. So potentially we could be on the market next year with 2 products. And here we happy and offline go through the this in more detail. We're going to do one toxicity study in rabbits that's lined up in August. We're going to get that out of the way, and hopefully by the end of this year we'll be in the clinic with our pivotal human trial subject to FDA approval. And in terms of we as I mentioned earlier, we can go after any other solid resectable tumor. We have an antigen discovery program, which will just flow naturally through our therapeutic cancer vaccine rollout. And we're looking at new corporate partnerships to fund research into other viruses, which are with our technology platform. And in summary, we have a highly experienced team. They've been involved in, my colleagues have been involved in therapeutic cancer vaccines using our technology platform for decades. There's $100 million US of R&D investment confirming the validity of our technology. There's peer-reviewed data on previous generations of our technology, which are, you can review. We've got a broad portfolio of issued and pending patents, and with significant near-term revenue potential from PaploCare and potential COVID DTH. Thank you, Gilbert. I'll open up to questions.
Hi, so there are a few questions here. Let me scroll them down here. The first one being Georgia, and she's asking, what's your burn rate here, and how much capital have been invested into the company so far?
Yeah. Okay. Excellent question. We have we've raised. I'd say in terms of BioVaxys as a company, we've raised and invested about $5 million approximately. But as I mentioned, we picked up the technology which was developed by another company, which is no longer around, that put in over $100 million. But that's not an item on our balance sheet. That's sort of the legacy of the technology. In terms of our burn rate, it's quite modest. Really, we have a very lean. Lean staff. I mean, obviously there's listing costs and all that, but I would say in terms of just our G&A, we're burning about $70,000 a month. Obviously there's other costs as well because we have clinical program. I mean, we have programs and other investments, but I come from the hedge fund background. I used to have a $1 billion portfolio. I was on the buy side buying biotechnology companies. And what I learned when I was on the buy side is that the companies that outsourced everything to service providers did better than the companies that try to build up their own infrastructure. So we try to keep everything lean and to outsource all of our costs.
Great. Next one coming from Lawson WY, working on your ovarian cancer vaccine with ProCare and that's such partner.
So what was the question?
Why? So why are you working on your ovarian cancer vaccine with ProCare Health? So why?
Okay, so ProCare Health is one of the largest biotech companies and pharma companies in Europe that is focused on women's healthcare. So they have all of the infrastructure, regulatory knowledge, and know-how to conduct a trial. Also, ProCare is investing $900,000 US as an in-kind investment into the phase 1 trial. So, I mean, I can't speak for ProCare Health. They're a large independent company, but ProCare Health really approached us and was very excited about our technology and willing to invest in it. So that really was the genesis of that partnership.
Great. So one question from Winnie here on the Chinese side is that probably ask you to maybe explain, maybe in simple terms, what's the haptenization, the whole process.
Yeah, sure. So as I mentioned earlier, the hapten is a class of chemicals. By themselves, they don't do very much in terms of the human immune system. But when the hapten is, for example, conjugated to a protein, like the surface proteins on a cell, for example, and then that then is turned into a vaccine. So it's introduced to the immune system. The immune system, for whatever reason, it will find that this very irritating. And what it will do is it will mount both an antibody and a T cell response, not only to the hapten modified antigen, but the underlying antigen. So it's what you can think of it as a hack. So by haptenizing an antigen, the antigen becomes highly immunogenic, and the body will launch a very strong, robust T cell response as well as an antibody response. But it does it in a way that is well tolerated. So there's a lot of ways to induce a strong immune response, but a lot of those cause a lot of problems with inflammatory cascade, a lot of issues with toxicity. So we're not observing that. So really the holy grail of vaccine development is how do you induce a very robust T cell and or antibody response without overloading the immune system or causing some inflammatory problems or causing other issues which can affect safety. And so we think really that the haptenization is the holy grail. And what's great is that it's relatively easy to manufacture our vaccine. The haptens are readily available chemicals, and it's just really a matter of effectively causing effectively conjugating the hapten to the proteins, for example, on conjugating it to protein or conjugate it to an irradiated, purified individual cancer cell. So it's a fairly simple process. So for us, it's quite exciting because on the one hand, we have data showing it's safe. There's very promising efficacy data, and it's easy to make. So it really has all of the ingredients of a very robust, commercially exciting vaccine platform.
Thank you, James. We're running out of time for this one, so I'll let you go.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great pleasure.